Hello, everybody. I am Andrea Keefe, the Meetings and Events Coordinator with IPC. I'm very excited to kick off today's webinar on utilizing grant funding for workforce IPC certification. It's important to note that today's webinar is being recorded and will be sent to you via email a few business days concluding this webinar. If you have any questions during today's webinar, please send them using the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. If we have time at the end of this webinar, we will go through the questions and answers at that time. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Sandy Kolp to be our featured speaker. Sandy is the Director of Program Management and Quality at Firsttronic. So Sandy, thank you so much for being here, and I'll now turn it over to you.
Thank you, Andrea. Well, good day to everyone. Today I'm going to talk about how Firstronic has utilized grant funding for workforce training and IPC certification. To kind of go through the agenda, I'll give a quick introduction of who I am and my background, a Firstronic overview, some of the challenges that we have faced, and how we have successfully been able to obtain grant funding for our IPC certification for our workforce, how we have integrated that IPC certification into a broader employee training and mentoring program, and I'll wrap it up with how we have used an applicant screening and profiling and how that has increased our success rate and our onboarding process. So just an introduction. Again, my name is Sandy Colt. I am the Director of Program Management and Quality for Firsttronic LLC. I started in the electronics contract manufacturing business back in 1996, so I have a little over 22 years of experience in this particular industry. My background is in plant management and quality management, and I joined Firsttronic back in early 2011, so I've been with the company for a little over 7.5 years. To give an overview of Firstronic and who we are, Firstronic is a provider of electronics manufacturing services. So what we do is we build printed circuit boards, and we use a combination of through-hole and surface mount technology in the building of those printed circuit boards. We also supply turnkey electronic assemblies to our customers. So not only are we building printed circuit boards, but in some cases, we're actually doing the system integration of those printed circuit boards. And we really provide a very complete overall material management service to our customer base. Our market segments that we focus on are automotive, industrial, medical, and specialty LEDs, And we are really recognized in the industry as having extreme flexibility and innovative solutions. And we're actually leading the industry in our Kanban strategies, not just Kanban strategies within our own company, but Kanban strategies with our suppliers, as well as Kanban strategies with our customers. And Firstronic also has a global footprint. So we are in America as well as Europe and Asia. So just to talk a little bit about our revenue profile and our market segments, we are highly automotive. So approximately 60% of our revenue comes from automotive products, followed by specialty LEDs. And really, a lot of the specialty LEDs are also for our automotive customers as well. Industrial represents about 15% of our business, and medical today represents about 8%. Now, the medical industry is something that our company is focusing on to increase our market share in this particular industry. So that particular industry has been growing and will continue to grow throughout 2019 as well. As mentioned, we do have a global footprint. Firstronic has 2 wholly owned subsidiaries, the Grand Rapids facility, which is our corporate, and we also have a fully owned subsidiary in Juarez, Mexico. We do have joint ventures with companies over in Asia and Europe, Poland, Germany, France, Tunisia, India, and in China. And the reason we do this is that our customer base needs product that is built in those locations. And we recognize that we can't go out and start our own, company in these locations at this particular time. However, what we have chosen to do is to work with other contract manufacturers who we can build a relationship with in those regions. We can provide our customers with the support and the product that they need built in those regions. And then those particular contract manufacturers that we have partnered with do not have any presence in North America. So we then become their presence in North America. So it happens to be a win-win solution for all companies involved. Give everyone some facts about our two solely owned subsidiaries. For the most part, our Juarez facility and our Grand Rapids facility are very equal in what we provide to our customers as far as our capabilities, our market, and our products, and our certification. Where we differ is in the footprint, the headcount, and our SMT equipment. So our Juarez facility is about a little more than twice the size of our Grand Rapids facility. Employees here in Grand Rapids, we have just a little over 180, whereas in Juarez, we have about 450 employees. And as far as our surface mount capabilities, we have 3 lines here in our Grand Rapids facility. Our Juarez facility, based on its size, has the ability to have 11 surface mount lines. However, today we are only operating 5 of those. As far as our certifications, both facilities have ISO 1345. That is our medical certification. Both facilities are ISO 9001 and also IATF 16949, which is the automotive certification. As far as the products that we build, as I mentioned, automotive, specialty LED, and industrial and medical. So for automotive, we do a lot of heat and cooled seats, shifter modules, coolant pumps, and fuel pump controllers. For specialty LEDs, we do overhead consoles, which are used to drive functions of garage door opener, OnStar capabilities, your interior dome lamps, and a lot of Prindom applications as well. For those of you who don't know what the acronym for Prindom means, if you're in a vehicle, it means park, reverse, neutral, drive, and manual. So LEDs light up when you're in a particular gear. And one of the things that we're focusing on this year and into 2019 is a lot of taillight applications as well for the GMC and GM model vehicles. And then industrial medical, we have some ignition control modules, we have some meter control modules. And for medical, as you can see there, we have a CPAP monitor box that we build. Not only do we build the printed circuit boards that go into this unit, but we actually build the complete assembled unit as you see right there. So when our customer gets it, it's already completely built in a box with all of the ancillary equipment that is required for that. All they have to do is take it off the shelf and ship it directly to the hospital. It has everything that it needs inside, from literature to cables to battery backups, etc. So what has made Firstronic successful? I'll talk a little bit about it here, and I'll talk more about it in a couple of slides, but really it's our company vision, and we overhauled our company vision back in 2013. We also established a DNA, and we call it the Firsttronic DNA, and that DNA is just who we are, who we want to be, and then how do we get there as a company. And we also recognize the importance of a core stable workforce. These are employees who perform vital tasks, they become familiar with each other, and they become better team members, and they're able to achieve efficiency that we need them to achieve. And they really adhere to our core values that we have defined, as our company, culture. Along with that, you need a strong leadership team, and you need that leadership at all levels of the organization. again, with employees who believe and support your company vision and your values. And once you have that, what you really have are people who become change agents. These are people who are looking to make a difference in your organization by embracing continual improvement projects using lean manufacturing principles. And that's really what we have established here at Firsttronic. So what are some of the challenges that we have faced and are still facing? Well, we recognize that the contract electronics manufacturing industry is a very competitive industry. We also know that most of the companies in our industry have moved their production to offshore locations, and this is mainly in China and in Mexico. However, we here at Firsttronic, we're leading a reshoring initiative to bring these manufacturing jobs back to the United States and back to Michigan. And we all know, for those of us who are from Michigan, Michigan has lost tens of thousands of jobs over the past decade, especially in the automotive market. We also know that to remain competitive, we need to increase the flexibility, and we also need to increase the flexibility of our workforce by cross-training as many of them in as many functions as we can possible. And here I have just a pictorial of our growth plan, and you can actually see for the last 5 to 6 years, how Firsttronic has grown, as well as the forecast for 2019. So our goal for 2019 is to exceed $200 million in revenue, and that's combined revenue with our partners, and also looking into 2020, increasing that revenue yet again, across the board. So the types of grants that we have been able to secure to date, and I'll talk a little bit more about these specifically in the next couple of slides, is 3 main grants. First is the MEDC STEP grant, and this grant is really marketing for exports. The STTF training grant, it is now called Going Pro. This is a grant that is used for technical training. And then the last grant is the Business Development Grant, and this is really incentives related to adding additional headcount. So the first grant is the MEDC STEP grant. And really, again, this is marketing for exports. So this program was launched back in 2011 by the Small Business Administration, and its goal is to double the U.S. exports and really give us a stronger competitive advantage. It's really designed to help spur job creation by increasing your export sales, increasing the number of new Michigan companies that are looking to export, increase entry into new market segments in those countries, and the maximum allowable amount that you can get under this grant is $15,000. Firsttronic has actually participated in this grant over the last 5 years, and we've used the funds that we have obtained through this grant for trade missions to Mexico, Costa Rica, Poland, and China. And what happens there is the MEDC actually will set up trade shows in these locations, and they will help you by contacting, potential customers and arranging for you to meet them at these particular trade shows. In addition, they help to arrange all of the transportation and all the interpreters that you may need as well. So it gives you an opportunity to go after some potential new customers in these different locations where you would like to increase your market share by exporting to these different companies. You don't have to use the MEDC. You can actually, set up these trade shows or participate in these trade shows on your own. You would just have to be responsible for, setting up these interviews with potential, clients and customers, and arranging all of the interpreters and transportation yourself. We've also used these funds for product development and samples for new product launches in these countries, as well as really focusing on your website and developing your website so that you can show that you have the ability to be able to, export and take advantage of, exporting to these different countries as well. For those of you who are in Michigan and would like more information on this particular grant, I have a slide here that shows you where you can go if you are interested. So you can go to the Small Business Association, the website, www.sba.gov, or you can contact your local MEDC office and get additional information, from them. The next grant I'm going to talk about is what was used to be called the STTF grant. Now it's called the Going Pro Talent Fund. And this really helps employers assist in training, developing, and retraining their employees. Some things to take into consideration is that this training is obviously short term. So if someone needs a 2-year-long training, this is not the program for them. The training needs to fill a talent that is really needed by the employer. So the employer needs to identify a skill deficit. They also need to identify what specific skills are needed for their industry or their organization. And they have to develop training plans to be able to address that need or that deficit. And that skill needs to be transferable or it needs to be recognized in the industry. So if an employee leaves, they have to be able to take that skill with them, to a different employer within that same type of industry. So how we have used these funds in the past is really to help offset the IPC training of 25 employees that we had to hire. And we use those, for IPC 610, IPC J standard, and 7711, 7721. These are really industry-specific standards for contract electronics manufacturing. So acceptability, requirements, our employees need to know what is acceptable and what is considered a defect. So that is what IPC 610 is focusing on. Also, since we are in an electronics industry, we have to be able to, perform hand solder, applications. So we have to have employees who, have the ability and know the requirements of doing hand solder. And of course, rework and repairs, very specialized training. If we have any products that are non-conforming, we have to have individuals who can bring those products from a non-conforming standpoint and bring them back into conformance. So it's very important for us. All of our employees must be IPC certified. So due to our continued growth, we're actually seeking this grant again for 2019. We're looking to add 30 additional employees over the next 12 months. And again, we will use a portion of that grant to offset the cost of training for IPC. In addition to that, we're also going to use those funds to cross-train employees in advanced product quality planning, APQP activities, quality core tools, and greenbelt training. This is very important training for our employees, our technicians, our program managers, our quality and engineering staff. The industry is going to more technical type training, and because we are highly automotive and we want to grow our medical market share, we really feel that these core tools are extremely important. We also have recently invested over $2 million in additional automation for our Grand Rapids facility. So we need technical training for our employees to be able to run and set up and troubleshoot this new equipment that we have added. And again, if anyone is interested in this particular grant going forward, you can contact your local Michigan Works, or you can go to the Michigan.gov Workforce Development Agency website. The last grant that I'm going to talk about is the Business Development Grant, also known as the MBDP grant. This program was established to provide assistance to businesses in the form of grants or loans or other types of economic assistance to your business. So this program is available to Michigan businesses to create jobs. And preference is given to businesses who are seeking to locate to Michigan or to increase or expand their business in Michigan versus taking their business to another state. Some things to keep in mind regarding this particular grant is that it is performance-based. It also requires your company to be very transparent if you're awarded the funds. They may come in and audit your company and your records, and you may have to provide them, or you actually do have to provide them with an employee retention records or payroll records. So there's a lot of things that the employer has to do, a lot of information that is needed, and you just have to recognize that you have to be transparent and provide some financial records, to show evidence that you are using the training funds, like you indicated on your grant application. So this was one of the very first training funds that we obtained back in 2011. This is when we really shifted our company vision. We actually, had a need to go out and hire an additional 110 employees. It was actually a very crazy time, exciting time for us here at Firsttronic. And like I said, that is really when our company vision changed. It's really when we decided to establish this Firsttronic DNA. And what we did is we streamlined our customer base at that time using a pretty unique rationalization matrix. We went from having 25 customers, and we took that customer base down to 10. And we focused on those core customers. We wanted to build long-term relationships with those key customers. We wanted to become their EMS supplier of choice. Now, those customers we got rid of, we just didn't say, see you later, hope you guys, are successful. We actually worked with those customers that we chose not to do business with going forward. We worked with them to provide another contract manufacturing source that, was more focused on, their business and their core, vision. And we also went from a 1.5 shift operation to a 4 shift operation. So our facilities in Grand Rapids and Mexico operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we did this all while adding over 100 employees. And then we also obtained this grant in 2018 as we had a need and hired 50 additional employees this year. And again, that was just needed, as our company continues to grow and expand. So if you're interested in getting more information about this grant, again, you can contact the MEDC. And I realize there's a lot of people on this webinar who may not be from Michigan. And one of the things that I like to tell people is I strongly urge companies and suggest to companies to go out and take a look in their local community, the state level, at the federal level, your government, and see what is available to you if you're in a growing or a growth mode. There are certain applications and grants that are available. And if you're struggling, you need to hire additional, people, and you need help offsetting the cost of doing that, then take a look at what is available in your area, in your state, at your government level, and see what they can do to help provide, similar types of grants and loans and things that you can use to help, continue to spur your growth. So just kind of focus a little bit on the keys to our success in securing this funding. As I mentioned before, over the past 2 decades, the EMS industry has been moving production, again, mainly to offshore locations in China and Mexico. We also recognize that the contract electronics manufacturing, industry is really a small fraction of what it used to be back in the late 1990s and early 2000s. And what this has really done is it has left a vacuum, of trained, qualified employees to draw from, especially in Michigan. Michigan has a very low unemployment rate and even lower here in West Michigan. So, it's been very difficult to find those, skilled, trained assemblers because what they have done is they have moved out of state, especially the higher skilled employees. So really this funding has really allowed us to, have employees who are capable of conducting all different types of manufacturing, functions in what we consider a high velocity environment. And that is what Firsttronic is in right now. So with that being said, all this training grant and the fact back in 2012, 2013, our company went through a massive change with our customer base and our company vision. We also realized that we needed to change our hiring practice, our recruiting practice, our training, program, and our mentoring, program. And our goal was to find people who fit our business and really have the attributes that are needed to be successful. And then what we want to do is we want to retain those people and build ownership. That's where that Firsttronic DNA comes into play. And what we also realized back in that time frame is not everyone is cut out for manufacturing or factory work. So not everyone can come in every single day and do the same thing over and over and over again. And that was a hard lesson for us to learn. But the end result, when we went through this, is we implemented a profiling system. It's called the AccuMax process, and I'll talk a little bit about that. We overhauled our new hire training model and our requirement for 60-day training for all new employees. And we implemented a very strong mentoring program here at Firsttronic. So to talk a little bit about the candidate profiling system, a lot of you probably rolling your eyes, it's just another personality test. And I certainly had that same feeling when we first, started looking into this. But we rolled this out. I believe in it. I still believe in it 5 years after the fact. And that program is called AccuMax. And that rates our candidates based on established profiles that we have set here for each of our positions, not just positions out on our manufacturing floor, positions at all levels of our company. And it rates them as red, yellow, green. So red, this is an employee who is not a good fit. There is something in their profile, in their makeup, in their DNA that says if they're hired, the probability of them turning into a long-term employee is very low. Yellow, if someone is rated as a yellow, there's a little bit of concern there, but they could potentially be a good candidate, for your company. And green indicates that potential new employee is a good fit. So what we did is we started off by taking all of our current employees, again, at all levels of our organization, through this program to get a baseline. And it wasn't our intent to go out there and fire all the reds and only keep the greens and the yellows. We figured through natural attrition, the red would just, get rid of themselves. But it helped us understand, what our base of current employees, was. And then what we had to do is we had to create profiles. Well, we did this in parallel. We had to create profiles for each of our positions. And this wasn't done in a vacuum. There's actually a team consisting of employees and engineers and quality and managers and senior level managers that created these positions: a surface mount position, engineering position, a director of quality position, a CEO position. And this really was used to really understand who our ideal candidate is. And then once we had that in place, we established a very rigid system that requires any new candidate, doesn't matter who you are, to take this survey when you fill out the application. So if there is no survey attached, we don't even consider the application. And then we review those results and we only interview the yellows and the greens. We do not even waste time with the reds. So what this AccuMax system does is there's a list of questions that candidates have to go in and answer. And again, it's compared to a profile that we have set up with certain attributes for each of our position. And really it shows what the employee wants, needs, likes, and dislikes are. There's a lot of information in this system. You know, I can compare my profile to another person's profile, and I can see what I need to do as a manager to be able to change how I approach an employee if they have a different profile than myself. Also, our training program, we really restructured our 60-day new hire training program, you know, from day one all the way through day 60. So we do, you know, very detailed 2.5, 3-day in-classroom training where we provide, you know, company vision, introduction into our management staff, the products that we build, of course, other, you know, company new orientation things that you have to do, but also the required modules that we have identified for IPC that an employee must have before they even walk out onto our production floor. And it's very important that we do that because it's very hard to hold employees accountable if they don't have the training on what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. And then training through a 60-day period for the rest of the IPC modules that we train to. At the end of that 60-day period, we bring that employee back in, we sit down and we discuss with them, you know, how do they feel about Firstronic? How do we feel about them? What are some of the things that we can change to make this program better? And also one of the unique things that we do at this time as well is we do something that's called a smock swap exchange ceremony. All of our new hires have a different colored smock. It's the blue smock that you see down here in this corner. All of our longer term employees have a burgundy smock, and we make this a big deal for the employees. So we bring them up in front of everyone. We do the smock exchange ceremony. They get a new smock, you know, a welcome package, and really a welcome into the Firstronic family. And then a mentoring program as well. So we really beefed up our mentoring program. All of our new employees are paired with a mentor. They work with that mentor hand in hand the first 2 weeks that they're out on the production floor, and then that mentor is also available to them up until that 60-day period as well. So really the net result of these recruiting and training new hire training program is that we at Firsttronic have seen a much better overall fit in our new hires, which really has led to a lower turnover and higher quality of products that we're getting out. And really the use of grants have actually allowed us to focus on what is really important, you know, for Firstronic and for our continued growth. And that is ensuring that we have the right employees, providing the necessary training to those employees, developing mentors, and continued ongoing training for our employees. And this mindset, we believe, has really set Firstronic apart in the EMS industry and really has helped contribute to the success of our organization. And if I could say, you know, one last thing, before I end this is that, you know, you can have the best leadership, the best systems, the best tools in the world, but without good trained employees who are accountable and feel that they hold a vested interest in your company, you will struggle to be successful. And that is all I have for today. Thank you. Andrea?
Thank you, Sandy. Sorry, I was on mute. If you guys have any questions, make sure you use the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. And if you can think of any questions after this webinar, we will also be providing everyone with Sandy's email address when we send out the recording, so you can communicate directly with her as well. All right, so it doesn't look like there's any questions. So with that, thank you again, Sandy, and have a great day, everyone.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.